How much fun was that weekend of Champions Cup and Challenge Cup rugby? We just watched the second of the Champions Cup semi-finals from Toulouse against Harlequins. My thoughts immediately following the final whistle. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. Here are my hot takes. So obviously, spoiler alert, goes without saying. And congratulations to Toulouse, but congratulations to both teams for putting on a proper show. Your thoughts in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up. Help spread the word on this amazing tournament, which now has a showpiece final, which, yeah, not if you're a Quins fan, or a fan of any other side for that matter, but neutrals will not be disappointed about the prospect of Leinster against Toulouse at the end of this month at the Tottenham Stadium in London. They are two outstanding rugby teams, different, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, but that final is mouth-watering. But that's not what I'm here to talk about yet. Plenty of time for that ahead. Let me get into this semi-final that we just watched. And just before I do, if you were looking at the channel, hitting refresh maybe yesterday, thinking, where's the updates? I was commentating on the Army-Navy game from Twickenham yesterday. So I walked past loads of very happy Sharks fans watching that Challenge Cup semi-final. It was just over the road at the Stoop. But what wasn't able to, with the travelling back and forth, wasn't able to do any videos. I will get to that in due course. But the Stoop is where Harlequins are going to head back to, and they should head back with their heads held high. They managed two great wins in this Champions Cup campaign, one away in Bordeaux in the quarter-final, one in the pool stages in Paris. But Toulouse was a bridge too far, but they went down swinging. There were fireworks before the teams came out, but that was nothing compared to the fireworks that were out there on the pitch. A few top-line takeaways before I delve deeper into the match. And this might shock you. Antoine Dupont, quite good at rugby. He's a sevens player. I think he might be just, moving his focus back towards 15s. I think he could be quite useful if he sticks at it. Oh my goodness me. It's like he's got the ability to just evaporate and pop up on the pitch wherever he wants. He's always there and making good decisions. And you know what? While he's been off playing sevens and actually I suppose to a lesser degree in the Six Nations, in the times that he wasn't there and Jamison Gibson Park was playing so well, a lot of people have been saying, and I can understand it, it makes sense, that, maybe it's actually not clear-cut who the best player in the world is. No. It's clear-cut who the best player in the world is, and it is Antoine Dupont. He is a freak. He is a rugby cheat code. And, well, we'll get to his tries in just a little bit. What else? Paul Coste. That lad is the real deal. And Toulouse have got a proper player on their hands there. And France have had some issues in the centre. He's got the starting job at Toulouse. He could be starting in a Champions Cup final, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see him starting in a French jersey. Well, this summer, he has been absolutely electric. And they've got guys like Emilien Gueton and Nicolas Deportier. I mean, we thought for a moment maybe there was a bit of an issue in France. There's no issue. They've got ridiculous talent coming through. Tyrone Green, what a player he is as well. How good is his form? And there's going to be opportunities to play for the Springboks this July because they've got that extra test against Wales outside of the international window. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. I'd have to say, if I were Rassie Erasmus watching that, I'd be thinking Tyrone Green has got to be in with a sniff. And if South Africa don't take a punt on him, then England should, when he becomes available. I don't know where that is. I don't particularly like players qualifying on residency, but if I were Tyrone Green and South Africa overlooked me, absolutely. He deserves to play international rugby. He is that good. So, and Quins just really had a crack. The game got away from them in the end, but early on, let me just run through the actual game as it happened. Early on, it was, these are some of the shots. His first try, Mathis Lebel. And it was, an outrageous pass from Romain Ntamak. Really long pass. But that in the build-up to that, it was Emmanuel Meafu with a lovely offload, Piatel Malvaka, and those were a couple of big players for Toulouse today, in every sense of the word. Malvaka was just a wrecking ball. Meafu, in the energy he must sap just having to tackle a man that massive. So early lead for Toulouse, and it looked ominous. The crowd were up for it. but Harlequins hit straight back after that try with Marcus Smith getting one. And that all came from, and again, talking about guys doing the hard work up front to lay the foundations, Finn Baxter, fresh off of a quarter-final against Bordeaux where he had Ben Tamafuna in his pocket, and he goes and wins a pen against Dorian Aldeguerri, an experienced French tight head prop, who also has, let me just remind you, Emmanuel Maeafu scrummaging behind him. So that's a whole lot of man that Finn Baxter managed to muscle. He has to be on the England plane this summer. He's got a big future as Finn Baxter. Get him involved in the squad, even if he's not starting. So Quins were ahead 7-5. They'd soaked up and then hit back, and that's what they did. It was exactly the same. Fierce battle at the breakdown. Malvaca for Toulouse, Will Evans for Harlequins. But immediately it was Malvaca that hit back with that try, and those two guys that I mentioned, Will Evans, making it 12 points apiece. Now, there's another takeaway. Let me just mention it at this point. French TV directors. Now look, the cliche is that French TV directors do it. I've no doubt that every host broadcaster does the same thing to a greater or a lesser degree. But there are two things that the French TV director does more than anybody else. Firstly, slow motion. Although when you're showing me slow motion shots of Romain Ntamak brushing his hair, I quite like that. Or like they even managed to do slow motion shots of Antoine Dupont doing up his laces so you can see his calf muscles. Again, I don't mind. They're amazing players, and Romain Ntamak has got great hair. But they do love their slow-mos, and I'll tell you what else they love. They love to try and show you stuff that favours their team. So there was one tackle that happened where Antoine Dupont, the TV directors obviously thought it might have been a high shot. I don't think it was. But that didn't stop them from showing the replay again and again and again. The crowd getting whipped up into a frenzy, booing it. Then, on that occasion when, and I forget the player, a Toulouse player, looks like he's done a high tackle on Andre Esterhazen, who goes down holding his head, and the TV director says, what shot shall I pick? Shall I show a replay of that incident that's just happened that could result in a card or a penalty against Toulouse? No, do you know what I'll do? Let me just not show you anything from the game, and I'll zoom right out and I'll show you the blimp shot from about 200 metres above the stadium. Absolutely ridiculous, but it doesn't affect the outcome of the game. The yellow card that was given late on in the match to Jack Walker for Quins, I'll come to that in a minute. But there you go, it was 12 points all. And this was the moment, and this is what Toulouse can do. They can just go bang, 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 game over. And I don't know what you thought. I thought they'd done exactly that. In that little 10-minute window, 3 tries, completely blew Quins away. They didn't have any answer for the pace that Toulouse were playing at. They make a line break, they flood through, the offloads come, the support is there, they go wide, done. Game over. I mean, it was a pretty soft try that, from a Quins perspective, that Flamont scored. They'd just scored, and then immediately don't deal with a counter ruck. Danny Kerr tries to flip the ball up to Chandler Cunningham himself, who juggles it. Flamont just takes it, dots it down. So that was probably the softest of the tries for Quins to give away. The next two was just sublime from Toulouse. And Antoine Dupont, how does he get in all those different places? I can't remember, what's that one in the X-Men? There's that X-Men character, is it Nightcrawler, that can just pop up here, then move there, and he's everywhere. Antoine Dupont is like that, and he was there on the spot for 2 tries. And Toulouse were away. It seemed like 31-12 at half time. The bit between their teeth, the crowd behind them, a heavy cushion. What's that? 19 points ahead at home. But fair play, Quins. What a second half opening, first 10 minutes of the second half. That was a world-class finish from Caden Murley. And you'll know if you watch this channel for any length of time, that's someone else. Has to be involved in the England squad as far as I'm concerned. Steve Borthwick seems to disagree. He's been around squads, but he's below the pecking order. Tom Roebuck. I would have him above Tom Roebuck. And I would have him involved in the squad now. I just think he is elite. And that was an elite moment, that finish. Fantastic long-range pass from Marcus Smith to spot him. But gas and then athleticism from Caden Murley to finish. who had some really good moments today. Then, yes, at 31 points to 19, Tyrone Green stepped forward. How good is he playing? Seriously, he needs to be on an international rugby field somewhere. Absolutely class. He starts it with an amazing offload, takes the break, fields the ball from the back, takes the break, out the back offload, and then he's the first man there on the loop, cuts an absolutely gorgeous line, carves through like a hot knife through butter, under the sticks, try time, and it's a 5-point game, 31 to 26. And could it happen again? Quins did it in the Premiership final a few years ago, the most incredible of comebacks, having done it in the semi-final against Bristol before. We've seen these comebacks again and again and again. They did it against Bordeaux, and now they were looking like they were on the cusp of doing it against Toulouse. But I guess this is the difference between Toulouse and most teams. Toulouse have got that top 2 inches. They've got that pedigree. They're used to winning tournaments. They've got big game players, and they managed to see it through in the end after there was that red card to Quins' Jack Walker. Now, on that particular point, Juan Cruz Malia, immediately after the red card, scores the try, and the game is effectively, with 10 minutes to go, 11 points ahead, or 10 points ahead, was it? Or 12 points ahead after the conversion. Pretty much game over. And on that red card, though, let's just talk about that for just 1 second. It was a yellow card, sorry, wasn't it? A lot of people were, and certainly the Toulouse fans were wanting it to be red. I understand it. This is one of those things where, as good as the high tackle framework, you know, that little flow chart that the referees go through, I'll be interested to know what you think. As good as that is at getting some level of consistency and safety, I do think there are occasions on a rugby pitch, and I'm kind of okay with this one being a yellow card, but there are occasions on a rugby pitch when I think it should be okay for a referee to say, accidents happen, it's a tough game. It's almost like those are the words that aren't allowed to be spoken anymore. Accidents can happen, and they do happen. Because if you were the Quins coach, if you're Billy Millard after that, and you sit down with Jack Walker and say, right, we need to talk about your technique, because that's what they always say, isn't it? This is about changing behaviour. That's what they always talk about, changing behaviour. What behaviour do you want Jack Walker to change? Okay, Jack, let's have a look at that clear out. Okay, you were bent at the waist. You had your knees bent, so you were as low as you could possibly be. You cleaned out directly over the ruck against a player who was dipping at the last second. You made head contact. I don't know what you tell Jack Walker other than say, don't bother clearing it out. Just let the guy have the ball. So, look, I guess the big point is that is quite a rare occurrence for that to happen. For the most part, the decisions are absolutely fine. And actually, I'm not that upset with a yellow card. I was glad it wasn't a red card. I thought that would have been harsh. But equally, I wonder if we could just... Maybe it's not this point so much. Maybe it's a more general point I'm making rather than on this specific moment. But I just want the referees, rather than having to follow that framework like it's a Bible, I want them to just be able to feel the game and just say, do you know what? Accidents sometimes happen. And on this occasion, I'm okay with that. But I don't blame Andrew Brace. I think he followed the rules and he did the laws, applied the laws perfectly well. Because what would happen if he did show a little bit of empathy for the players is he'd get absolutely hammered by his referee assessor, and he wouldn't referee the next game. So that's a bigger point, and actually didn't affect the outcome of the match. I don't mind it being a yellow card, and overall I'm just glad it wasn't a red, which we've seen that be given a red card many times. Overall, fantastic game. Cannot wait for the final. Two brilliant rugby teams, the two best teams in Northern Hemisphere club rugby, and maybe the best two teams in club rugby, full stop. Leinster will be wanting to make sure that they equal Toulouse's 5 European Champions Cup titles, or Champions Cup titles as it is now. It's more than European, isn't it? And Toulouse will be wanting to put clear water between themselves and Leinster by getting their 6th and leaving Leinster on number 4. It's going to be absolutely epic. Your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back doing loads more videos on the channel. Now I am back here in the Egg Chaser studio. Thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one.